This week's rack calls for a couple of shots of controlled aggression, which you see on top of your screen, and then when we get to the end pattern, I show several options that make this end pattern very workable. Let's get into the rack. Welcome to this week's Rack of the Week. I'm showing two shots before the break shot because this is a very unusual break shot. It didn't work out that I had a traditional one, so I played position over here. I'm trying to get an angle on the 9, so I'm trying to get the cue ball right on the rail here, so I'll have an angle to go up into the rack. And you can tell I've got a little bit of inside English on it, which I didn't really need, but I had to cheat the pocket to arrive at this spot. So I actually prefer this. Obviously, I could have simply stunned the cue ball like over here below the rack, and then I'd have a one-rail shot into the bottom. I like this angle better, and this doesn't come up a whole lot, but I can shoot with a high ball, and I have a slight angle. I think I'm going to try and put a little bit of right English on it, but really, you don't want to fool around with too much English with the cue ball this close to the rail and that far from the pocket. I'm just laser focused on center because it's a small target at this angle. So I'm using a real forceful stroke, just a high ball, and I'm going to hit this pretty firm and hope for the best. Now, some people might, when you look at what happened, some people might have said, oh, you should put inside English so the cue ball went this way and came around. I think it's more important to make the ball. Yes, you're going to be below the rack. Sometimes there's going to be some collisions that cause a ball to come down here where you've got an easy shot, but making the ball is always more important. You're going to be in control of the rack that way, whether you can make another ball or play safe. Okay, a little bit of rack analysis. I've got a break ball here, possible break ball here. There could be a break ball in here once these balls get opened up, so I'm not too concerned about break balls. I am concerned that this is a big cluster. There's a double cluster kind of here. These need to get opened up. So how am I going to do that? Fortunately, I've got a fairly easy shot on the 2-ball, and the cue ball is just going to roll forward. I'd rather not shoot the 6 because it's very possible to control the opening of this cluster such that I preserve the 6 as a break ball for later. So what I'm doing here is just rolling forward to get an angle on this 5 in the side. I want to come above it, then I can shoot the 5 and go into these balls. But before I do it, I'm going to go take a look. Exactly what do I want to have happen here? And I think what I want is the cue ball to hit the 3 and then the 13. That's going to send balls this way and this way. Highly unlikely that I'm not going to get a shot after this. And I didn't hit it as intended. I hit the 10. I hit the 10, knocked one ball loose and another ball which came back, and I still have a cluster. So what am I going to do now? I've already looked. This 12 ball goes, so I'm just staying low on the 12. Now it's just a high ball, run into the 13. The cue ball is going to back up and go again. I'm not playing position for a specific ball. I know that the cue ball is going to come up above those. I hit that too soft. That's supposed to be more of a force follow stroke where the cue ball backs up and goes forward, and then I'm very, very likely to have another shot. So I didn't hit that as intended, probably shooting a little fast again. I still want to preserve the 6, so I'm doing the same thing I did earlier. I'm coming high on the 10, above the 10 ball. Yeah. So now I can get the cue ball into those, and now I take another look at it and make a decision. And this is where the title of this Rack of the Week comes from, because what I could do is simply make the 10 ball, then the cue ball is going to be here, and I can shoot the 8. Well, what are you going to do next? I mean, sure, I can shoot the 8 softly. The cue ball is going to tap the 11 over here, and the cue ball will go this way, and I'll have a shot on the 11. But I still have 4 balls that are tied up. I think in this instance, it calls for a little bit of controlled aggression. And so I'm going to go for another re-break shot. I decide to do finally, what I think about doing, there's 2 ways to do it. One is send the cue ball this way out of the corner. I don't like that. I don't have to open up all the balls. I can get stuck behind a ball, behind the 8. This doesn't have to work out very well. And so I decide to do kind of more of an unconventional one. By the way, I don't have to shoot this. I could shoot shoot the 1 and just float down below the 6. Then I can shoot the 11 and go up into those. That's not a bad choice at all. but I'm delaying the opening of the cluster for 2 shots, and I'm removing a potential key ball to get on my break shot. I prefer, in this instance, the 10 ball, and I'm going to shoot a power follow stroke with right English. So the cue ball is going to kind of curve to the rail, and then right English is going to stiffen it. I don't know if I'm going to hit the 14 or the 3. I'm not sure what's going to happen. This is controlled aggression. There are times when, most of the time, you want to try and pick the balls off, but there aren't any real good avenues to get at these balls. I think controlled aggression is the right choice here. Maybe I'm Monday morning quarterbacking because it does work out. Yeah, right now I'm looking about what if I just draw the cue ball straight into those balls. And again, I don't have to hit it correctly. I could hit the 14 and come over here and end up with no shot. The way that I end up shooting it, I think, is the highest chance of opening the cluster and giving me a shot. And this could turn out 10 different ways, and I think 9 of them could all be good. So I really like this. And then I've got a very easy shot on the 7. There's nothing wrong with going into pick them apart mode here. So you can tap the 7 ball in and just get a slight angle on this 11. And then I could shoot the 11, run the cue ball on the 14. 14 might even become a break ball, but even if it doesn't, that opens up both of these balls for this pocket once the 8's gone. And this is a very controllable shot. I'm going to have a shot on the 8 after shooting the 11. So there's nothing wrong with that pattern. But in a similar fashion that I left the 1 ball earlier, I'm leaving the 7. Now, I've mentioned that a lot of times you want to remove balls that are in this quadrant below your break shot, right? The 7, I'm committing to the 6 as a break shot. But in this case, the 7 is far enough over that could be a good key ball as well. Because if I get this angle on the 7, or lots of angles below, but as long as I'm below straight in on this 7, I can tap the 7 in and come out here for the break shot. So I like leaving the 7 and the 1. Additionally, or what I'm going to do is shoot the 11 with inside English, because that's going to bring the cue ball up here. I could hit the 14. I might not hit the 14. I might hit the 13 and knock it up. I just have lots of possibilities to opening these up a little bit, and all of them involve the 7 as an insurance ball. I don't have to shoot the 7. I'm hoping to get a shot on the 8 because I want to tap this 14 ball up. And I know I'm not going to tie up balls. I'm going to hit it with a speed that's just going to knock that 14, a foot up to here. So everything's going to be open. I'm going to have a shot on the 8 or one of these back here. At least that's the plan. So this is a little bit of controlled aggression as well. I don't have to shoot that shot. I could shoot the 7. Now, I've already called the combination. It's super easy, but even if I didn't have a good combination, my insurance ball, by the way, didn't work out. But even if I don't have a good combination, I got a shot on the 3. Not a big deal. So I think that was, again, a very good controlled aggression type of shot. So this is just a stop shot. I'll shoot the 14 next, or possibly the 7. And what you want to do now is take a look, because now I have an ideal situation. And what I'm talking about is I've got a ball on each side of my break ball. By the way, the 1 could be a break ball if I really need it to. I've got 2 potential key balls if I'm breaking with the 6. That's the 1 or the 7. And then my other balls, sometimes when you shoot, when you get to this spot in the rack, 5 balls left, instead of the 14 and the 3 being here, like the 3 is here and the 14's here. And so you kind of have a limited number of options for your end pattern. But with the other 2 balls over on the other side of the table, I've got lots of options here. So what are they? You have to decide what your key ball is. So if the 7 ball is your key ball, what's a good K2? Probably the 14, but it could be either of these balls on this side, because remember, I want to get the cue ball down here for if I'm using the 7 as a key ball. So if that's what I'm going to do, how about if I shoot the 14 and come all the way over here to shoot the 1? Now I just go draw a little bit, and I've got the 13, and then I've got the 3 in the side, and I can shoot the 13 and bring the cue ball up here so that when I shoot the 3 in the side, I just come down there. That's a good pattern. That's much more controllable. Okay. How about what kind of an end pattern might I shoot if I'm going to use this ball as the key ball? Well, in that case, what's my K2? Probably the 13, because it's right in the middle of the table. You can get lots of angles on the 13. Probably most of them involve going into this pocket. and then I can bounce straight up table for the 1. I can come 2 rails out of this corner for the 1. Or if I get real straight, I can simply draw back and get up here for the 1 ball. So if I'm going to do that, that's a whole lot of yellow lines on the table. So if I'm going to do that, how am I going to get on that 13? Very interesting. I'm not sure. In this case, wow, I don't know. You could shoot the 14, come up for the 3. That's pretty controllable, and then just roll down. Maybe in this case you'd want to shoot the 3 and then shoot the 13, and then from the 7 you can come up this way. That's okay. You got a real good chance of getting straight in. What I was going to say is shoot the 14, come up here, then you can shoot the 3, and you just roll forward past the 13, because then you've got an angle to shoot the 7 and come 2 rails back out to this area for the 13. So your last 3 balls would be 7, come over here, 13-1. That involves a lot of cue ball movement as well. I've honestly forgotten what pattern I choose, but I'm making a choice right here. I do remember that involves shooting the 14 and coming across table for the 1. Oh, yeah, I've got it now. Yeah. So there's a couple of different ways for this to work out. What I'm doing is shooting the 14 and coming across table, so I want to hit this rail and come out for the 1. So I can go 1, 13, 3, 7. Or I can choose to go, if the cue ball, I'm going to shoot the 14. Cue ball is going to come over here. From here, I could shoot the 13. Then shoot the 7, and I'll have the angle I need on the 3 to come over here for the 1 ball. So there's yet another end pattern, and that's the one I choose. Now I choose that because of where the cue ball lands. I don't have to shoot that pattern. If I didn't get really good on this 13 ball, I could shoot the 1 and shoot that other pattern. But because I got here on the 13, this is the most controllable pattern with minimal cue ball movement that I can see. So here's the 3 ball. Here's the shot line for the 3. I just want to stay below that. As long as I stay below that line, I can send the cue ball this way to get on the 1. I can draw the cue ball back, or I can simply stun the cue ball over. So you have tons of options depending on exactly where it stops. Now, when I play that 3 ball, I'm playing that in a specific way as well, because what a lot of people try to do is draw the cue ball over here, and you just have too little margin for error. That's kind of a beginning position play for 9 ball thing that a lot of beginners learn, is play position farther from your object ball, because here's straight in, and here's the angle that I want. So if I'm playing position here, I have this much distance to get right on my object ball. But if I play the cue ball here, I have double the distance to get correct on my ball, on my next ball. So pretty simple principle, but it bears repeating. And now I'm trying to get pretty much parallels where I'm aiming for. Not bad. Now in this break shot, I mentioned this last week, I have almost a parallel, the line from the object ball to the cue ball is almost parallel to the rail, but the ghost ball is here. So the actual shot line is this direction. So it's actually an inside angle. It's a slight one, but it's an inside angle. And I'm going to hit this pretty firm with a just below center. I'm not certain where the cue ball is going to go, but I know the cue ball is going to go because I'm not hitting this soft. And I might hit the top of the 7 and maybe hit the 13, and then the cue ball is going to come all the way up and back down. That's one possibility. Or if I hit the 7 really full, it'll bounce off straight off the 7 back to the side rail. So one of those two possibilities, I think, is the most likely. I don't want to get stuck to the rack, and I don't want to just try and gently draw it up to center table. So I'm going to hit that a ton. And you saw, like, you can see the right English on the cue ball. I'm not sure if that's me applying right English or if that was contact-induced spin. contact with that 7 ball. But let's take another look at the break shot. So I'm going to play the break shot again, but this time, let me rewind it just a bit more. I'm going to play the break shot again. This time, do not watch the balls. Watch my wrist. Don't watch the balls. Watch my wrist. Watch. Wrist snap. That's how you get more power with control. I don't need to have an 18-inch long backstroke to try and generate a lot of speed. Little wrist snap, and you can have a short backstroke and hit it with a lot of power. And I'm in business. Thanks for watching. See you next week.